Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In this video, we begin with a really interesting post from the subreddit Relationship Advice with an update. Then we continue to some malicious compliance, and we finish up the video with some great petty revenge. And of course, you can move around to the different parts of the video by using the timestamps right below it. Now, let's get started with that first story. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's by user EmbarrassedBBQ1. Me, 23 female, got invited last minute to a barbecue, and my friend, 25 female, yelled at me and accused me of stalking her. Wouldn't stop screaming until I left. Jill and I share the same friend group. I have actually known Russell, 25 male, for about a decade now. Jill thinks Russell has a crush on her and always talks about him like he is some sort of Hercules. In reality, Russell and I have slept together in the past and continue to do so. I don't share my sex life with people, and Jill has been told by Russ that he doesn't like her. He has other interests, and really would prefer she kept it cool. Russ invited Jill to a barbecue and told her to tell me and to other girls, Megan and Tina, 24 female. Jill told them, but not me. Megan finally asked me for a ride to the barbecue and asked if I had made anything. I called Russell and asked him, and he said I was invited, and was surprised I didn't know. He told Jill 3 weeks ago, since we are all really close, and Jill lives with Megan, who I spend a lot of time with. I brought Megan, and Jill freaks out at the barbecue, accuses me of stalking her, trying to embarrass her. She was trying to hook up with Russ the whole time. She pretty much screamed at me until Megan and I left. Tina stayed to calm her down. I'm not sure what to do about this. I like Jill, but I'm not sure what made her freak out on me like this. I am not sure why she thinks she can talk to me like that. I just don't deal well with conflict. What happened? So a friend of yours that you've known for years didn't pass an invitation to you that you should have gotten, and then freaked out and called you a stalker when you showed up at the barbecue. The first thing that comes to my head is that she's jealous of you. She might think Russell has a thing for you or something, and she's trying to get you out of the picture. Honestly, depending on how good of a friend Jill actually was, I would be considering if being friends with her is worth her freakouts at all. From the way that she treated you in public, I'm guessing she doesn't really care much about remaining friends with you, so I'd say, good riddance OP, and just move on. You haven't done anything wrong, and she's the one with the problem. And what do you guys think? Let me know your opinion in the comment section or what kind of advice you would give OP, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they had to say. Wizard with A says, the good news is, this really isn't about you. This is about Jill thinking she can still get with Russ. She's embarrassing herself, and someone, not you, should let her know, or at the very least, quit inviting her to parties. I'm amazed she hasn't faced social consequences from this behavior already. Why is this group tacitly condoning her antics? Throne Maxi Bone says, what does Russ think about the crazy woman at his barbecue? If he's a normal person, then lying to you and screaming about how she was going to get his D would make him uncomfortable. Did he do anything about her before or after you left? Talk to him about it. She's a bit too crazy for civil conversation, though I'm betting she found out about you and him, and that's why she went nuts. And OP responded, he made her leave after. Twirly Whirly says, why did Russ invite you through Jill if you are the one sleeping with him? Wouldn't he have mentioned it to you directly when meeting up to bang? Does he see her more than you, even if just as friends? OP's additional context from comments. I don't sleep with him like every week. I work and have school, so it's not unusual to go a month without seeing each other during the semester. Also, he's not my only partner. I have no desire for a relationship right now or in the future. Russ has a few other friends with benefits, and I have 2 other guys I sleep with. It's not really an issue if he slept with Jill unless Jill makes it an issue. So maybe they did sleep together? I don't know, but it's not uncommon to not see Ross for weeks at a time. If he's sleeping with her, then he should have known better. I have no issue if he's sleeping with other people, as I am as well. Russ's barbecues are pretty much open to anyone. He tells people and it usually gets around. He tends to also just have an open door policy, so it's not unusual to sometimes find out the night he has something going. I've always been invited, but these are huge barbecues with beer and people staying till like 3 a.m. I've been to every one I could, unless school comes up or I'm at work. It's just how Russ works. He says he is having a barbecue and people just pass it on. He gets like 40 people at a time. But yeah, he doesn't treat me any different other than us sleeping together. I prefer friendship to romance with Russ, especially because he sucks at communication in some pretty big ways. Well, the community agrees that Jill acted like a crazy person and somebody should do something, but it not necessarily has to be OP. So now, let's move on with the update and see how this whole thing went down. Some of you called it. Jill found out Russ and I are effing. Russ isn't sure who told her, though he thinks it's his roommate Pete, which I think is the likely case. Pete doesn't like Jill very much. I guess she keeps showing up while Russ is out doing stuff and leaving baked goods and other presents, writing him little notes and demanding Pete give them to Russ. So it is likely he said, Russ is effing OP. Which explains the absolute freakout at the barbecue itself, as she likely felt everyone knew she liked him and I was mocking her, which is not true, but I can see how it looks like that. Most people expect to be told off when they encroach on another girl's man. But since I don't tend to view Russ as my love property and have other people I am sleeping with, I didn't see anything wrong with Jill going for Russ if that is what she wanted. If they worked out, then they worked out. Apparently, I made a mistake and will do things differently in the future, but Russ and I have decided to continue sleeping together. On another note, I had a talk with Russ about communication. I told him if he wants to invite people to his house, he needs to text them, as this whole word of mouth thing is causing tons of issues. He agreed. I got a mass text from him saying he was inviting people to his house for a movie night. So that seems like the lesson learned was be more open and communicate stronger. So hopefully this will teach Russ to not just be passive, so there is that going for him. He told me he did invite me to the barbecue but thought Jill or Megan would tell me. He said he didn't know exactly where we stand on the friends with benefits, as he would like to hang out with me one-on-one but doesn't want it to feel like a date, more as a friend thing. So he was trying to respect my need for distance but also have me around. I just told him if he wants to hang, he can ask me. If I say no, then I am likely busy. So we have worked out that issue and I think we will be better friends for it, even if we are sometimes naked friends. Now about Jill. Jill and I are no longer friends. This was something I decided on my own because I don't think we will come back from this. I went over to Megan's to get back things I had loaned Jill. This included some kitchen stuff and a few items of clothing, some boots, and a few DVDs. Megan knocked on Jill's door to get the clothing and she asked why Megan wanted it. Megan said I was waiting in the kitchen and was about to leave. Jill got my stuff and pretty much threw it at me. She told me to never come back here. I picked everything up and put it in a box. Jill said she was keeping my boots because I was a lying crappy friend and she liked them. I told her I wasn't leaving without the boots. She looked about ready to cry, gave them back and asked why I liked humiliating her. Megan pretty much offered, jerked the box out of my hand, to put the stuff in the car. I told Jill that what Russ did with his love life is up to him. If he wanted to date her, I wouldn't have stopped him because I just like the sex. We were friends before Jill ever met him and have been sleeping together for years. Jill said she was half in love with Russ, and if I was a good friend, I would have backed off. She blamed me for Russ asking her to stop coming around to the house and said I was a terrible person. She said I always did this to her. I asked her for examples because I don't go around fighting for guys. It's pathetic and embarrassing. I don't believe I need someone to like me to be worthy of anything and like myself as a person enough to not become some reality TV show diva. I don't like fighting, I don't like yelling, and I think if a guy can be tempted by another woman, then he is not the right one for me. Sure, I have been hurt and cheated on, but I don't take people back who hurt me. Jill told me that she liked Andrew, 34 male, for a while last year, and he had said he was trying to date me. which is the reason why I stopped sleeping with Andrew. Jill demanded to know how many guys I am sleeping with. I told her it was none of her business, and if she liked a guy and he said no, she needed to take it at face value and not keep trying to get them, because no one owes her an answer about their love life or their sex life. It is a private thing to a lot of people, and she has known me long enough to know I don't discuss sex partners, even people I have broken up with. I don't kiss and tell. Jill told me to stop coming by. I told her that I was not ending my friendship with Megan, but I would not show up at her house without reason. I told her I did not intend to continue to be friends with her because she has crossed lines and it was not working for fundamental reasons. She didn't apologize, and neither did I. I did say I hoped we could be civil to one another if we ran into one another. She said it would be fine because we wouldn't be seeing one another. She said if I was a good person, I would tell Russ I was not going to be at his parties anymore. I told her again that was not happening. Russ and I would continue to keep our friends with benefit deal for as long as we wanted. I would not back out of any group activities, and her screaming and freaking out was the reason she was no longer invited. If Russ changed his mind, I would be civil, but I was done with the drama and she could do as she liked. But I was not going to bring this up again, talk about it with people, or even slander her. I hoped she would do the same. She told me, fat chance. She said she would tell everyone I effed Ross to spite her. I told her that most of everyone already knew what happened. Russ told them he turned her down, so she could make a fool of herself all she wanted. Then I left. Megan and I got coffee and then I went home. So that is the end of an era. Well, Opie, I have to say, from this whole post, you sound like an incredibly mature and logical person. You have a good amount of self-esteem to stand up for yourself, although you do say you can't deal with conflict. I think you're really good at it, especially from that last part. Anyways, good riddance to Jill. Like you say, if she wants to embarrass herself, she's free to do so. And you, just keep enjoying your friends with benefit. Take care, OP. And now, we move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Zany Bays. You don't want me to serve you? No problem. So, for a backstory, I work in a bakery in a medium-sized grocery store. Apart from baking and slicing and packaging bread, pies, and other pastries, I also have to clean all the dishes and clean my department floors when I work the closing shifts. A mid-shift worker also helps with the responsibilities until their shift ends, along with the department manager, who usually leave a couple of hours after my shift starts. A few weeks ago when I was working, I came from the back where we wash our dishes to help this lady, we'll call her B, who was standing near our counter by the bread slicer with an attitude. I'm assuming she was mad she had to wait because the mid-shift worker was busy with another customer. I came over and she tossed the bread on the counter and just said, "Slice this." Rough day, no problem. I just want to get her out of here, so I politely say, "Yes, ma'am," and I grab a pair of gloves and start to put them on. "You're not going to wash your hands?" "Oh, no, ma'am. I already washed them before I came out here." "BS! I don't want you to touch my bread with those nasty-ass hands." "I mean, I can wash them again if you want." "You know what? Don't bother." B then goes to another department and asks for our department manager, and then starts yelling at him in front of the bakery and other people, pointing at me, saying that I don't wash my hands and that I'm disgusting, and ends up calling me a cracker. How outdated. My manager tries to calm her down and ends up washing his hands and cutting her bread to make her leave. I explain the situation to my manager and he basically says next time just wash my hands by one of our sinks next to our front counter. But if she comes back and tries causing a scene again, to let him know and he will tell her to leave. After talking to the store manager, he also told me the same thing. Fast forward to yesterday. B comes back towards our closing time, where both the mid-shift and department manager are both gone, so I'm the only one working in the bakery. She's holding bread to be sliced again and hasn't noticed it's me when she asked me to slice her bread until I reach out my hand to get the bread. She stops and said, "No, you're not helping me," with a rude look on her face. I immediately smile and say, no worries, have a nice night. And I walked to help another lady and then walked in the back to clean dishes. A few minutes later, I hear yelling, "Excuse me!" So I walk back up and, "Yes, ma'am?" She gives me another rude look and says, "Is no one going to help me?" "No, ma'am, I'm the only one in the bakery." "Then wash your effing hands and slice my bread." "No, ma'am, I'm not serving you. I'm sorry. Have a nice night." "You are slicing my effing bread. You have to." No, ma'am, you told me not to serve you. Have a nice night." And I walked in the back to clean more dishes. B ends up throwing her bread on the ground, and my store manager comes and tells her she needs to leave for causing a scene and threatens to call the police if she doesn't leave. So B leaves, but not without more screaming and name calling, but she leaves. I tell my store manager what happened, and he told me I should have handled it better and that I instigated her to get angry, and to get a hold of him if that ever happened again. Whatever, it felt great. Well, you did do what she wanted, but I do see your store manager's point of view. Anyways, thanks for sharing, OP. It must have been epic. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user PitViper2559. I got some payback on my sister who loves to dirty things I just clean. I have a couch in my room, and like twice a week I wipe it down with warm soapy water to keep it clean, because I have a dog that likes to sit on that couch. And every time I wipe it down, my sister loves to go outside without shoes and come back in and just walk on my couch, leaving dirty footprints all over it. I tell her to stop, but she just laughs in my face. So one day I finished cleaning my couch and saw her go outside. So I grabbed a handful of black Legos, the same color as my couch, and spread them out on my couch. She ran into my room, and without a second thought, she just jumped on it. She screamed so loud and then proceeded to fall off my couch onto my hardwood floor and hit her head. I was about to get yelled at by my mom because she tried to change the story to make me look like the bad guy, but I actually recorded it happening, so she got yelled at instead. And now every time she does it, my mom punishes her. I would put the video on here, but my mom said I couldn't. Well, OP, your sister got what she had coming for being such a jerk, and now your mom knows about it, so good for you. Thanks for sharing, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing, and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.